Red Dead Redemption 2 is an impressively detailed, well thought out masterpiece that leaves little to be desired. Red Dead Online is an impressively lacking, time-waste encouraging online experience in dire need of quality of life improvements. So while we all sit and wait for an update on the game's future, I sat down to write a list of things currently in the game that I think need some changes done to them. Number 1. Fast travel. Let's start out with some time-saving changes. There are currently 15 travel points in the game, plus your camp and the Moonshine Shack. While this sounds like a lot, with the sheer scale of the map it often feels way too little to me. A few additional travel destinations such as Thief's Landing and the train stations would be a great start. And even more than that, I would love to be able to travel directly from the Moonshine Shack to other places. Because if you can travel to the shack, then why can you not travel away from it? To save some more of the loading times, the post could be on the inside of the shack, maybe on the boarded up wall next to Maggie's desk, in form of a map, just like it was in the story mode. Number 2. Inconvenient Choices. This first one is also concerning the Moonshiner, but also the trader. I wish you could keep track of your destination and trading goods progress from anywhere in the world. I find it especially useful for the trader since you actually have to intervene and provide materials multiple times to finish a full delivery. Maybe this inability to see progression was done for realism reasons, but it's honestly just inconvenient when it doesn't have to be. The same goes for when you're actually out hunting. I personally use the hunting wagon quite a lot, and because of this I have noticed that it is in need of some improvements. Firstly, I think it should get another size upgrade, giving you the ability to load more animals into it, especially bigger ones. While I was capturing footage, I noticed that I could really use one of those strap-on lamps for my wagon's horse, and that it would be extremely useful if you could see how much capacity a wagon still has left. And secondly, I believe you should be able to call your wagon in the same way that you can call your horse. I get the wagon can't follow you around because it could scare off animals, but if you wanted it to come to you, you should be able to whistle for it. When you're hunting, you sometimes have to follow the animals for a long distance, and in that case, all choices you have to load animals onto your wagon suck. Either you run back to your wagon, possibly risking your prey to despawn, or you pick up the carcass and waddle back to your wagon, which feels like it takes 3 times as long as your normal running speed. And this can get especially annoying when you have multiple animals to load onto the wagon. I have also had issues when it comes to hunting with my friends. While you can pick who has access to your wagon, I have never really been able to figure out what that means. They have never been able to load animals onto it. I'm unsure if that is a bug or a miscommunication on the game's side. Maybe this access management only determines who can sit or drive on the wagon. I haven't really figured that out, but if that is the case, I think Rockstar should add the ability for my friends to load stuff onto my wagon. Another trader upgrade I'd be excited to see is the ability to donate what's stored on the wagon without having to spawn it in first. Let's move on to the Wheeler, Rawson & Co. catalog and the items you cannot purchase from it. Because I do actually spend time doing the naturalist activities and curse the game every time I run out of sedative ammo. You may say, but hey, you can craft them in your wilderness camp. And yeah, I could, but does anyone really do that? It takes up so many resources and so much time, when in the same time I could travel to Harriet and buy a whole box of them. But I would actually prefer to buy them from the catalog, to be honest. Because when I'm out hunting somewhere very far away from Harriet, it's really just annoying and inconvenient. And would anyone really question the lore of sedatives being available in the catalog now instead of exclusively at Harriet's tent? Just expand your business, Miss Davenport, I beg you. And lastly, can anyone explain to me why my character is unable to read telegram missions while on horseback? He can read letters and treasure maps, everything, but not telegrams, really? Again, this isn't a big deal, but it's unnecessarily complicated and something so stupid I forget about it every single time I try to start one of those missions. If you take a closer look at the animations of reading on versus off the horse, they're pretty much identical too, so I wonder why they chose to restrict this. Number 3. Camera angles and light sources. I'm sure I'm not the only one who gets a little frustrated with the lighting and camera angles in the game. For instance, why are you unable to turn your character while you're in the dressing room to try out clothes? This already bothered me in the story mode, however it is way more annoying when you throw the gold currency into the mix. If you want me to buy an item for a whopping 8 or 12 gold bars, I expect to know exactly what I'm buying, front, back, left and right. There have been situations where I really liked an item from the front, and as soon as I saw it from the back, the view I will see for most of my playtime, I hated it. Every time I see it in my wardrobe, I regret having bought it now. It really can't be that hard to give us the ability to turn the character around now, can it? And I know you could always argue this is an artistic choice of some kind, but when you move on over to Madame Nazar's shop, you can hardly defend that argument. I cannot believe no one ever overlooked the camera work there. Do you really expect me to buy gloves at that angle and blurriness? The same problem can be spotted at the gunsmith too. The lighting is terrible because it changes with whatever the weather is outside, which is good for immersion, but an unfortunate and annoying choice for the player experience. Additionally, the gun belts are out of focus at every single store. You can still make out the details, but it did make me question whether my eyesight needs to be checked or not. These menus have heaps of small stuff that needs to be corrected and improved. Honestly, Rockstar, for nighttime character menus,
I implore you
to add a frontal light source so you can actually see what you're buying, or change your outfit in camp without having to wait 20 minutes before the sun comes up again, just because it's so damn hard to see anything. I wonder if this was an oversight because you cannot actually enter stores at night in the story mode or not. And if that's the case, I do think they need to take another look at it and make some changes to it. Number 4. The clue hunting system. When you go bounty hunting or tracking legendary animals, the game often requires you to look for clues or follow leads to your target. I really like the idea behind this, but the implementation is absolute bullshit. I didn't really notice this at first because I only went bounty hunting with a friend, so we shared checking the clues, but when I started taking up bounties on my own, it became very clear to me that the right clue to lead you to your target will almost always be the last clue you look at. And I find this such a discouraging system that makes me groan every single time I pick that kind of a bounty. If you know you're going to have to waste time on a mission, where is the fun, and also what's the point? But I guess you could ask that about many of their systems that have to do with spending more time without getting anything out of it. Anyways, the first time I encountered a system like this was in Uncharted 4. That game makes you look for a tool, and no matter which one you pick up, you'll always find the right one in the third spot you look in. Here the system works. It prevents you from finding things too early because it would break the suspense of the scene. In Red Dead Online, however, this is not the case at all. Its only purpose is to make you spend more of your valuable playtime in the game and nothing else. I hate this. But what could be done to improve it? I think making it a random chance instead would be the simplest and best solution to it. Find the person or animal on the first or second clue you inspect for a change. Because right now, knowing that I'll have to follow 3 void routes before I even have a chance to find a target is honestly taking all of the little excitement I can still get out of bounty hunting at this point. Number 5. PvP and online experience in free roam. Lastly, I have 2 suggestions for the actual online and PvP element of it. I'm not sure how this is handled on PC, but on consoles you cannot actually speak to players in-game if you're already in a voice chat with your posse. So when you come across another group of players, there is no way to verbally communicate with them, which kind of defeats the purpose of grouping together in an online space, does it? A push-to-talk feature or toggle in the settings to allow you to do this would be a great and much needed change. It wouldn't just be a benefit in free roam, but also in PvP, which is also where my last idea would come into effect. In the summer update, they introduced a nominated series that lets you pick the PvP matches that you enjoy the most. This nominated series is intended to let you load into your favorite types of matches, even down to the locations you prefer. When this was added to the game, I got pretty excited because I enjoy the horse and shootout PvP quite a lot. So I immediately picked all the matches and locations I liked. But upon trying to actually load into them, I realized that this whole thing is broken. Either no one uses this feature or it's just not functional. But just to make sure, I tested to load into lobbies for one of the 19 series I have nominated. It worked 3 out of 10 times, but I have to also mention that I was loaded into the same exact lobby twice, so it kinda only worked 2 times. To avoid this from happening again, I spaced my attempts out. 5 of them over a Friday evening in the hopes that the game had a lot of traction, and the other times were on Saturday and Sunday. For comparison's sake, I also loaded into the normal PvP series 10 times and it worked instantly without fail. I believe they should give the nominated series an overhaul and also promote it more. Perhaps the matchmaking would be made easier if they made the choices a bit more limited. Let's say you can only pick the type of PvP match but not the location. Getting rid of the specification would probably connect you to active lobbies more often. However, maybe the problem lies somewhere else entirely. I'm not sure how exactly the matchmaking works, but I've asked myself, if you select to play a random nominated series, where do you connect to? Do you load into the regular active matches, or do nominations have separate lobbies? Maybe this needs to be tweaked. Either way, this whole thing was a fantastic addition in my opinion, but it needs some work here and there. So these are currently my most urgent wishes for what's in the game, or what isn't in the game. However, I would like to give an honorable mention to the badly fit belt sizes, but that's such a minor annoyance I won't write a paragraph about this. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you soon. Take care.